Hey guys, and welcome to the show. Welcome to the Tony C. Davis Show. I want to thank you for joining us today, where we share everything from faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. And tonight, rather, we're going to share some finance. And I want to apologize to all our viewers who may have come on at 9 o'clock. We had some technical difficulties. And that's on my end, and so we had to reschedule for 9:20. And I want to thank you for those who actually hung around to come on live. And we have Dyer. I want to thank you, DeAndre, for coming on. We have some others probably come on just a little bit later. But again, Tony C. Davis here. And tonight I want to introduce Major, if you don't mind me saying that, Major Tasha M. Dyer, retired military, U.S. Army to be specific. And so how you doing tonight, Major Dyer?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Now, you mind me calling you Tasha?
No, that's fine.
Well, again, I appreciate Tasha being here. And Tasha also brought along her mentor and friend, Mr. Juice. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. Thank you for allowing me to participate in this awesome platform.
Yeah, again, we appreciate you, sir. And we, again, do apologize for the late start, but again, I'm sure it's going to be good. So for the guys, those of you that don't know, Tasha is a mom. Again, as I just said, a retired military major for her service. Thank you for all that you did. And connected with Tasha maybe about 2-3 weeks ago, and had a couple of conversations with her. And I think last week we may have spoken to Gerald Rogers. He was actually talking to my daughters. So what I want to do is go ahead and turn it over to Tasha and let her introduce herself. And then Tasha, if you would, go ahead and bring Gerald in and just let him tell a little bit about himself.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me this evening. And well, my name is Tasha M. Dyer, as you've already stated. But for me, it's God first. That's first and foremost in my life. Now, I'm a mother. After that, I'm a mother, and I'm a grandmother. So I'm excited about that journey in my life right now. So retired, 04 retired Major U.S. Army, financial advisor. I have my MBA in logistics and human resource management, real estate. So I've literally done everything that we're taught and told to do to become successful. And what I've learned is those things don't generate wealth. And so that's why I'm here and I'm on this journey for economic empowerment. That's what I'm here for. And to bring and to introduce my mentor, coaching and mentorship is everything. So this gentleman, Mr. Gerald D. Rogers, literally been in mortgage lending, commercial banking, real estate, over 20 years in the direct sales industry. So success follows success. So Mr. Gerald D. Rogers.
Well, once again, folks, first of all, I wanted to say thank you, Guy, for just continually using broken vessels, imperfect people such as myself. But it just helps you understand the grace and the power of God, that he's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can even ask or think. And if we allow and we make ourselves available to be used of him. And once again, Mr. Davis, thank you for the work that you're doing, allowing people to express, share. And I love your mantra, family, faith, finance, fun. And that's a part of the kingdom establishment. So I thank you for this platform. I just pray and trust that God will continually expand your boundaries and just kind of accelerate the work that you're doing as well. And I said a lot just to say that I'm excited to know that to be in partnership with such a stellar individual as someone who served our country faithfully, and to be able to eclipse the rank of major, which is really major, no pun intended. But her passion, her joy to see people empowered, and specifically women. And that's kind of who I am, published author, success on God's terms, and just try to do everything I can to share information that I've been recipient of and freely give it away. And when it comes to economic empowerment, I'm just an advocate. I am 2000% dialed into helping any individual who want to release and extract themselves away from poverty, and which it all starts in the mindset. But I am the number one buster to diminish poverty as quickly as possible to those who would have an ear. And if they have an ear, we can truly show you how to execute that. So back to you, Mr. Davis.
Well, again, I appreciate the both of you, and I want to be, up front, guys. This particular platform I've been using for quite a while, but I did some upgrades, and actually, with the upgrades came more buttons, and I'm kind of afraid to push any buttons because I don't want to mess up anything. But I do see Tina Hampton on. We have Wanda. We have some others on, but like I said, I've never seen this end of the platform before. We have DeAndre and so many others. So we're Wanda Mays. Thank you all. But I will say I connected with. It may have been you, Mr. Dyer. Mr. Rogers. I think I connected with you first, and you referred me to Miss Dyer because I saw something about a women's empowerment movement. And so since I do have 3 daughters, I think that may be how I connect Tasha. And you referred me to her. And so that's where we got to where we are. So I do appreciate that. You were able to speak to 2 of my daughters. And so I thank you for taking the time with them. So back to you, Tasha. First of all, again, thank you for your service for our country. And before we really get into the finances, what did you do in the military, or what kind of change or difference did the military make in you as far as being disciplined, and what did you learn from your military service?
Well, I retired as a logistics officer. I enlisted as a finance soldier. And that's not the normal trajectory. That's not the normal path that you take. If you enlist, you retire enlisted, you become an officer. So I'm driven, I'm focused. So that's what I have. So there's opportunity. And so that's what I took. So I strive for excellence. But what I was able to accomplish is about teamwork, accountability, not accepting excuses, about problem solving. It's about achieving excellence. But the biggest thing that I learned as an officer is what we're taught to do for the military is a term that we use. It's called leaning forward in the foxhole. And that's something that we talk about in the Army, is we're taught to lean forward in the foxhole. We do that strategically for the military. And we have to learn how to apply that to our life. And so when we see change and when we see things going on in our society and around us, we literally have to be able to apply that to our life, because we're taught and we do it so much. That's why the military is able to be as successful as it is, because we strategically lean forward. We strategically plan. We're looking for opportunities. We're looking for so many different things. So being able to apply that and understanding and realizing that when you see something, you have to not just see it. You have to react. You have to change. You have to implement it. And that's something that I was able to take back from the military.
Well, again, I appreciate all that. And as you were saying that, I picked up some things you said, talking about change. And I don't know if I mentioned, or some people may not know, but I'm a pastor here in the great state of Georgia. And tonight during Bible study, we're actually talking about paradigm shift. The paradigm shift is just basically coming to a point in your life where you realize certain things need to change. You notice something, you have a mental shift, and begin to react to those mental shifts. And so as we look at, what you're involved in, what Mr. Rogers is involved in, I want to go back to you for a minute. I know you're an intelligent woman, but really, did you really understand the financial markets and how money works when you've gone through school, you've been in the military, but did you really understand how, again, the financial market work? Did you understand money, how it works, and even investing?
Absolutely not. Because what we're taught in school is we're taught how to count money. And that's where our education stops, literally. We educate on everything for skill sets, for everything that we do in life. But then when it comes to finances, we're literally taught how to count money. And I had to specifically take a class that taught how to, balance a checkbook. That wasn't in the class. So then becoming a finance soldier in Germany, I actually was exposed to the foreign exchange market. I was actually paying and seeing the adjustments in the exchange of currency. So, and then taking all of that cash and the German, the Deutsch back at that time, that's what it was. So being able to take that back and do the exchange and being able to see how the government made money off of what we were doing because it fluctuated throughout the day. So I got to see it, but because you don't truly understand it at the time, you weren't able to apply it. And then you fast forward becoming a financial advisor, you actually know that if you want a higher return, where do you put it? You put it in the foreign exchange market. So that's and then that's where we are now. It isn't until you start educating and understanding and learning about money till you really, really understand what we have in our hands.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that. And let me go to Gerald, if you don't mind. You're in the business. You're a mentor, coach, author. When was it that you started to learn about money and how finances work?
Amazingly, I really dove in. I'm actually collegiately trained in this area, but I can remember going back to literally having a desire to be an owner, and I'm blessed to have come from an entrepreneurial family. As a matter of fact, and when you talk about no excuses, I attribute my success to a gentleman by the name of Willie Peacock, which happens to be my uncle. He's my mother's youngest brother. He's the youngest sibling, but literally had not known. I was 6 years old. And at the time, he was literally mentally challenged, but had a work ethic, taught me how to go sell newspapers and things like that. So I've always had that desire to want to understand money. I've always wanted to be in control of my own destiny. And growing up, I never thought any different other than I'm supposed to have that. And as I began to become more educated and avail myself to mentorship, and Ms. Dyer mentioned the importance of mentorship, I've just been able to be exposed to different things. And it kind of reminds me of a movie that we often laugh about, the movie Trading Places. And some of your viewers may remember that movie with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. So our mind is capable of contemplating and those what we would unique financial concepts. But when you're exposed to the right information, then you execute. And that's kind of been my path. And now that I have this bevy of information, I know it's my fiduciary responsibility to share this information freely, liberally, because we're talking about something that is placed in a person's mind, no matter what the conditions are, the circumstance. No one will ever be able to take that from you. So my passion is literally teaching people how to fish and not give them a fish.
And that's great. And for our viewers, I want to just say I do see my baby daughter, Tia, on here. I guess she's still watching. I appreciate you for tuning in, Tia. But as we say that, and I am an advocate for education. I know you all believe in education, but I read somewhere, and I can't remember who it was that said it, but they said education can make you a living, but self-education can make you a fortune. And we have been in our educational system, you may or may not agree, but our educational system has failed us tremendously because, like Tasha mentioned, we're taught how to count money. We're taught so many different things that we never use in life, but we're not taught about finances. We're not taught about money. We're not talking about entrepreneurship. We're taught to become a consumer, an employee, and build somebody else's dream. So I appreciate those of you and many others who invest the time and resources to learn and share your information with anybody that will listen. So I know I said a lot, but I thank you for doing that. Now, Tasha, as we go back to you, tell us about, the foreign market. You mentioned first, you brought up the foreign market, the foreign exchange. Tell me, what is Forex trading?
It's the exchange of currency. is buying and selling is buying one currency and selling another. So as the markets move, as money is exchanged, you buy one currency and you sell another, you're able to enter and you're able to profit. So no matter what the market is doing, whether it's moving up or it's going down, no matter what it's doing, as long as you know to buy or sell, because that's all it's doing. You're buying one currency and you're selling another, you're able to make a profit. And that's why the education is so important on how to move within that market.
Now, for those that may not understand Forex and the foreign market, I know very little about it. I'm sure these two can educate me. Mr. Roger, I'll come back to you. But and let me know if I'm correct or not. Let's say if I'm traveling over to Germany and I take, the US dollar and I go to Germany, I'm going to be over there for a month. I would have to exchange the US dollar for the German, I can't remember what you call it, the German dollar, whatever it is.
It would be the euro.
Euro now.
Euro, thank you.
Yes, euro dollar.
Euro. And so as I change that, in the space between that, there's able to make some kind of income or some kind of trading venture.
Absolutely. And the unique thing about it is, think about it. When you take, as you mentioned, you're leaving the United States and you go to any country. In most cases, those countries, particularly where the US dollar is not accepted, you have to literally exchange currency in order to do business in that particular country. So there's an exchange rate. And because of that exchange rate, there's a profit margin that takes place. So the wonderful thing about understanding currency and why it's so important to understand how to become your own bank is because this is simply not about how well a particular economy is doing it's all about movement. So money is always moving. That's really why they call it currency. And there's a unique difference between investing in currency and trading currency. And the power of the education and understanding, as you may mention, is not only education, is really what we're being educated upon. And most individuals are never educated on how to literally make their money work for them. We've all been taught how to go work for money, but this is what the 1% of the population has held in plain sight. And they make it seem so cumbersome, but it's just as simple as that. I'm in Germany. I need the euro dollar to do business. Now that I have the euro dollar, I come back to the United States. I exchange that euro dollar back to US dollars. And that transaction, money is generated. And it's at the rate of about $5.3 trillion a day that now you and I, your viewers, have an opportunity to participate. And that's literally what the banks do with our money every single day. So it's not about understanding it. It's simply about understanding if you have any relationship with a financial institution, then you owe it to yourself to educate yourself on how to do exactly what the banks do with your money and now take advantage of this global economy.
And I'm glad you mentioned that on the description. I'm actually going to have to go back and add that later. But we're talking about you have the B.Y.O.B. Some people say bring your own booze, bring your bottle, be your own business. But this is be your own bank. And why is that so vitally important? I know you just spoke on it. Tasha, why is that important for you? Why is it important for you to be your own bank?
It's important to be your own bank because this is what our government, this is how financial institutions make money. Now, we literally believe that a college education, this is what we've been institutionalized to understand or believe, that a college education is going to make us a fortune. And I've been trained and I've done everything that we've been taught to do, right? In order to everything our parents, because this is what all our parents teach us to do. So I've done that. I have the degrees, the credentials, we've done it. Now, we will pay for this education for 4 years, understanding that most people will say you don't get a job or you don't work in your degree field about 70-something%. But if you really look at it, that means only 20% or maybe a little bit more get a job in their degree field. So, but you're still relying on someone else. You're still relying on someone else to create, to dictate your future. You're still putting your future in someone else's hands. That is why it's so important. And then when we have things that happen in our economy, like GM just are just shutting jobs down, or factories
Yeah.
or different things that close, it literally breaks families apart. So we have to take our own future into accountability. We have to take our own future into our own hands. And we literally have a skill set where we can learn to do what the financial institutions of the world do, and they're doing it with our money. So now you have the power to understand and to be able to multiply your money the exact same way. And so if you can invest in college for 4 years, you can invest in yourself and have a guaranteed return as long as you apply yourself to the knowledge and the education. Then you literally can become your own bank. And that's how the movement came about.
And this is, and for me, this is education. But again, I am an advocate. But I can remember when I was in school, in college, taking a college class. I think it was psychology, sociology, one of them. And my professor, a doctor, teaching the class, actually admitted that she had to hurry up and finish the class because she was going to be late for her other job. She was a bartender. And again, I don't knock that for anybody that's trying to make it, but that just doesn't make sense to me. It kind of triggered something to me then. I said, wait a minute, you're a doctor, a professor at a college, and yet you got a second job to pay the bills, and you want to make sure you get out of this class early enough so you can be at work on time. That just kind of blew me away. And then if you think about it, people come out of college and the universities with thousands and thousands of dollars worth of debt, and oftentimes they never recoup that when it comes to their job field. Sometimes you may not get a job for many years, and people are years and years of paying off student loan debt. And that's just crazy. And again, I don't knock education, but they're way. And these platforms, this type of education that you all offer gives the average person the opportunity to do better. So with that, Gerald, what would you like to share about the BYOB movement?
Well, the B.Y.O.B movement is simply understanding that when you look at where you are and you have any relationship with a financial institution, this is what the banks are doing. And the education is simply about what we're being educated upon. So I know people out there thinking, is it one of those things? Is it a scam? And I'll tell people all the time, yes. If you don't understand what the word scam is, it's an acronym. You're still confused about money. Literally, it is 9:45 p.m. and your bank is now taking your money because the foreign exchange market is literally operating 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. So while your money is resting in your account, they are making millions, billions, and trillions of dollars. And we're simply suggesting learn this skill set and participate and do exactly what the banks are doing. And then to add the cryptocurrency market to that space, which adds an additional, hear me well, an additional $5.2 trillion. So we're talking about $11 trillion a day that the average person has the opportunity to participate in, and it doesn't require tremendous amount of liquidity. And now you literally are doing exactly what the banks are doing. So you made mention about education. It's not the education, it's really what we've been educated upon. And this skill, bar none, out of all the degrees that I hold, the businesses that I've been able to accumulate, and the people that I've been able to assist, bar none, this is revolutionary for people who understand, regardless of your skill set, the way we've laid out this educational platform, it literally is going to take you from not knowing anything, meaning you could be in pre-K. By the time you finish this process, you will have a postgraduate degree and how to become your own bank and taking full advantage of something that you're already connected to, but now you have information, because this is not new. It just may be new to most people. So you have to do this. When you look at the economic scheme of things, when we're talking about from a community standpoint, and even from a cultural standpoint, as a community, the African American community alone is a $1 trillion a year entity. However, we don't control anything. We don't own anything. We're the number one consumer.
Brother.
We're the ninth largest financial institution on the planet. And that has to change. So now,
Brother,
this is why we have to force forward, and why the movement is so impactful and needed and is of a necessity.
You hit a nerve right there when you when you said our community, and we're talking. And listen, guys, I love our people, but we are consumer minded, and that should not be. You know, everybody else, it seems like groups have businesses teach their children finance and economics and how to start a business. You have people who come from different lands, different countries, can come and in our neighborhoods, and that's a whole different conversation. I want to go off in that. It's a whole nother story. You know, you all know what I mean. We've got to do better when it comes to educating ourselves. So that being said, I didn't mean to go on that tangent. You mentioned something about with things popping up, different companies. We'll get to the just a little bit. You know, people are concerned about scams. There have been scams out there. So what do you say to people who read certain things on the internet about a particular company, especially if it's something related to MLM or person-to-person marketing?
Well, one thing I share with people all the time is understanding that everybody in the world is involved in multi-level marketing. If you have a job, you're involved in multi-level marketing. The CEO of your company makes all the money. You do all the work. Point blank, period. So it's never the tool. It's always people. And when you have people make bad decisions, make bad mistakes. But I tell people all the time, some of us, most of us, we've had a bad meal, but we never stop eating. We just get more tuned, and we look at different restaurants, but it's never the tool. It's always the people. And that's a mental mindset in the trap that if someone brings you something that you know has trust, credibility, and you look on the internet, it reminds me of that old State Farm commercial that the young lady, she was going out with a guy, she met him, and he was not a very appealing facially person, but he said he was a French model, and she said, "How did you find him?" He said, "On the internet." So just because it's on the internet doesn't necessarily make it true. But in this point, particularly with this particular thing, and I tell people all the time, if you think the foreign exchange is a market, that means you must immediately close your relationship with your financial institution, because this is what the banks do with your money every single day, and you do not get the maximum benefit from your own money. And that madness has to stop.
And it doesn't matter how much money you have either, does it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You know, if you have a lot of people who say, "Well, I don't have $100 in the bank." Well, you know, that bank is going to take whatever little bit of money you got and use it, just like Gerald and Tasha are indicating. Whatever little money, they're going to take whatever they can and trade it in the foreign markets and give you nothing on your money. My money gain millions, billions of dollars, and you get nothing really in return.
Or actually trillions, because once again, I want to make sure your listeners understand. We're talking about, in the foreign exchange market alone, we're talking about $5.3 trillion every single day. So to quantify that, if you and I spent $60 a minute, it would take us 31,666 years to exhaust $1 trillion. And that's annually. So I'm talking about $5.3 trillion a day that we've been missing out on because this information has literally been hidden in plain sight.
Hidden in plain sight.
Yes.
Hidden in places we don't investigate, we don't look at, we don't consider because we think it's for somebody else. Let me go back to Tasha for a minute. Yeah.
Just one thing. Just one thing. Can I just add this to this? It is amazing. You were talking about scams. Over the last couple of days, Michael Jordan released a new tennis shoe, and people literally stood outside the night before. They bust the doors down. People literally got trampled. And there was one lady on the interview said it was worth being trampled to allow her child to get a pair of shoes that has no long-term value. And that programming systematically has been done through the media and even through our athletes. So there are a lot of people that we must hold accountable to now. We should be running to this information instead of running to get some new tennis shoes.
Hey, again, there's another nerve you hit. I mean, that just doesn't make sense. I don't know what the shoes cost. But I remember one pair of shoes was like $250, $300. I'm like, I'm on the shoes. I wouldn't pay $300 for them.
Absolutely.
Let me go back to Tasha for a minute and openly. But again, if you've got that kind of money, that's great. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, putting stuff on layaway, barely making it, what sense does it make to spend that kind of money on something that has no economic value, no eternal value? You can't leave a legacy with a pair of tennis shoes. Anyway, let me get back to Tasha. Tell me about the cryptocurrency market. What is cryptocurrency, Bitcoin? And for those that may not be familiar.
Well, cryptocurrency is digital currency. So adding that to the foreign exchange market, talking about now over $11 trillion. And this is available 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So now you're talking about over $11 trillion. So just to kind of show you where we are, because this is secure. This is actually taken through what's called blockchain technology. So I know it's digital, so you can't touch it like you do a dollar bill, but it's secure because of blockchain technology. And when we talk about being hidden in plain sight, just so you can kind of get an idea of how this information is and what it is, you talking about the state of Ohio, right? Is now accepting Bitcoin, which is the first cryptocurrency, is now accepting Bitcoin for taxes. They're going to be accepting Bitcoin for taxes upcoming this year. That's where we are as a society. And then you look at what Fidelity has done. They've literally opened a branch. So we have to get away from the mindset that this isn't going to stick or it's not real, because it's very secure. They've opened a branch where they're now trading. They're doing it for institutional investors. And institutional means it's not us. The institutional investors, which are your banks, again. So they've positioned themselves to learn how to multiply our money even further. So they're going to continue to multiply money. So it's about us being now. So we have the foreign exchange, which is exchange of currency, and now we have cryptocurrency, which is digital currency. And now we have an opportunity to position ourselves to take advantage. It's here, and it's not going anywhere. And we have to get the trend, or you're going to get left behind.
Yeah. And as you say that, I can remember, I don't remember the exact date, but years ago, I can't remember how many years, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember exactly. And somebody's rattling something. I've got some noise. But I heard about Bitcoin. I didn't have a clue what it was. I didn't understand it. And since I didn't understand it, I considered it a scam. I said, man, I'm not going to put my money in that. And at that time, I believe when I found out about it, Bitcoin was at like $3 or $4, maybe $7. And Bitcoin over the years had gotten to a point, if I'm not mistaken, to over $10,000 a Bitcoin. It has decreased, of course, has gone down in value, but it's still around. And the people who got in when it was, $1, $2, $7 made millions of dollars. And more likely than not, they didn't understand it. Now, here's what's funny. I really don't understand this technology, for those of you that can see the cell phone. There's some stuff. I had this phone for a while. There's some things that I didn't learn or I didn't know about when I got this cell phone. And I didn't spend a whole lot for mine, but there are people who spend $500, $600, $700 on a cell phone, but won't spend $100, $200 on education to fix their financial situation. So that being said, when it comes to cryptocurrency, as you said, the Forex market, they're not going anywhere. You all have a platform that teaches people cryptocurrency and Forex trading. Tell us about that platform.
Well, what the platform does is it takes you from pre-K to postgraduate. So whether you know already about the market or you don't know anything about it at all, right? You cannot even understand what foreign exchange means. So it literally takes you, the education process literally takes you from teaching you exactly what it is, because I didn't know how to trade it before we began this process and I began the education. But now we're there. It literally takes you through that entire process. And so that's what the education platform is. So you don't even have to, the same way you just mentioned your cell phone, right? You don't know everything about it, but yet we still went and bought it. And the thing is what we want to do is it's so many things that we want to do. Everything that we do in life, literally, we have to be educated on. And this is the one thing is our finances and how to manage our finances and how to manage money, how to properly multiply it. Currency is flowing. Currency flows. It's all out there. And if you want more, you have to get where it is. You're not going to get more by sitting in the same place that you are, your job or whatever it is. You have to position yourself to move where the currency is. And so what this education platform does is it teaches you how to do that because it's out there. And so if you can invest in yourself and you invest in yourself, so whether it took you a month, 3 months, or even 6 months, it's an investment for you for the rest of your life. That is literally, you're going to learn a skill set that will set you free financially for the rest of your life. And that's what this does.
And just to add to that, if I could add to that.
Yeah, I was getting ready to come to you and just tell us more about this platform.
Well, the platform is just like she just made mention of. I mean, it's no different than anyone enrolling into their local community college or state university or Ivy League institution. But this information is specifically designed to educate individuals on how to multiply money. And as you made mention, you were talking about Bitcoin, how it escalated. And the traditional mindset, and this is the power of the information and education, because the traditional mindset says, I need to grab something and hold on to it. But from a trading and an education standpoint, because we now have this information, all we're looking for is now movement. So whether it's escalating or de-escalating, because of this information, we now make money if it goes up or if it goes down. And that's the power of the education. You ever wonder why the economy, it goes up and down and the banks always still remain in such a strong financial position? It's because they're playing by a different set of rules. And this is the rules that we're bringing to the average family. And this is why we are so adamant about understanding, teaching individuals how to become their own bank. Think about it. You hold on, your 401k plan says, give me your money. We hold on it for 25, 30 years, and you can't use it until you're 59 and a half. We should be doing the exact same thing that your 401k plan is doing. We should be doing the same thing that your IRAs are doing. And we're now literally putting the power in the people's hand. And that's why this information is hearing and understanding. And when you think about the stock market, we're for all financial markets, but the average person does not have the liquidity necessary to participate in the stock market. So they're missing out. So there are three types of people in the world, people. Those who are in the game, those who watch the game, and those who don't know the game is being played. So we're just here to teach people the new rules of money and how to execute and become your own bank.
And there's a fourth type of person, the person that is the pawn in the game and don't even realize it. We're the pawns in the game and don't even realize it. Let me ask you this before we close out. What have you all, and first I want to again acknowledge all of our live viewers. I want to say Tina, Nikisha, there's so many others that have come on, Jeanette, Akira, I guess that is, I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, Jared, so many others. We thank you for joining us live. But what would you tell somebody that is looking to do something in their financial situation? What would they do? How would they need to be able to get in contact with you? What can you help them with? How long will you be around, Mr. Rogers? Will you be around, Tasha, if someone needs help? I'm sure you're a very man and woman of integrity, but for people who are concerned, how can they get in touch with you? What actually are you using to change your finances? We haven't heard the name. Do we need to hear the name? Let's say somebody wants to know more information. What should they do?
Well, I'm gonna take the lead on that. First of all, this is very personal. So for those of you who are listening with us, our guest will be able to share all of her contact information with you. But for us, this is really about changing lives. And for anyone who is listening as a listener, we have a tremendous reputation in the marketplace. You can Google Gerald D. Rogers, published author. And our goal is specifically to identify 100 individuals that myself and our team will coach and mentor you. And we're definitively looking to identify 100 individuals that we're going to coach and mentor to 100 to seven figures over the next 60 months. And if you're willing to make that commitment, you will never outwork us. I'm going to repeat that. You will never outwork us because this is too valuable to make sure that most people miss out on this opportunity. We're talking about having impact in our communities. Our children need this information. Our families need this information. Our places of fellowship need this information. And it's no longer about allowing governmental systems to do what we should be doing. For it's a village that creates a healthy community. And this is where it starts, economic empowerment. So I just wanted to share that, and then I'll turn the rest of the remaining information back over to our woman who's spearheading our women's empowerment movement.
Now, I do want to, even you talk about education, I do want to share this. My son, we talk about changing the dynamics and changing lives and what my son trades. And what he told me, literally, because he walked off of his job. And everyone always asks me, why doesn't this boy have a job? Why is he not working? He's 18 and he's involved. And he literally, and I told, he walked off of a job after a week. And he told me he does not understand because he's made more money in the foreign exchange market sitting in class than working 6 hours or 7 hours at work. So for that to be his mindset already at 18, he's in college because he wants to be a business owner as well. But what he told me is he'll never work for anyone a day in his life. And he said he's going to keep the T-shirt to prove that he had a job at one time in his life.
Well, listen, that's great. Listen, again, we are, I believe, we have actually been taught, and we could drag this on for another hour or so, but we've been taught, and I hate to use this term, but it is what it is. We've got the slave mentality. We were taught and trained something, And we figured that we were told this is the only way to make it. And that is to go to school, get a good job, and go to work. And we weren't taught about money. We weren't taught about entrepreneurship. We were taught to go to school and build somebody else's dream. And this is something I spoke on tonight during Bible study. Those, let's say the Africans that were brought over here, you know, and not to mention those that were already here, and that's another story, but to bring them over here, and those that went into slavery, they knew what freedom was like. They tasted freedom. But those that were born into slavery, you know, they had that mindset. They didn't know what freedom was. And until somebody gave them a paradigm shift, they didn't really know what was wrong with their situation. Many of them didn't. So when it came time to be free and it was time to leave the plantation, some of them said, no, I want to stay right here with Massa. and I hate to say it, but education is there for you to use to get out of your situation, but you rather stay on, you know, I'll use that. You can't blame anybody but yourself. So, Mr. Rogers, Ms. Dyer information, Tina Hampton says, break the curse, release the shackles. Wow. Break the curse and release the shackles, you know. And when I talk about slavery, I'm not just talking about a particular race. You know, the system has been set up to enslave many of us, but, you know, we oftentimes are at the bottom of the, as they say, the pole. So guys, what would you like to share before we leave, before we sign off with our listeners and our viewers? What are you like to share?
Well, I do want to mention, you know, I am spearheading a women's movement as well. And we've had tremendous success with our faith and finance, but the women's movement has spun, and that's near and dear to my heart, because I believe women, we have to do everything. We literally don't get a day off. We don't get a break. No offense to any man, no offense to anyone, but as a mother, as a single parent, as knowing the things that I've seen, the things that I have gone through, and it is birth, and it's very passionate to me. So I do want to reach women. I definitely want to reach women. And we don't get to make excuses, and we don't get a break, and we don't get a day off, period. And so by that, I mean, that's where the Women Teach Forex comes in. That's where that movement has come from. So yes, I do, you know, this movement is for everyone, but we have to transform, we have to empower, we have to show that we're appreciated, commit, and honor. But when I talk about the women and I reach out, I mean, just from my personal experience, when you look at, I've been experienced when, even in the military, where you have to interview for a job, I'm the best qualified. I'm the most qualified. I was told the job is mine by the highest ranking person that could make the decision. But then you come back and you say, oh, well, you're a parent. You know, you have children. So I want you to go home and take a week and think about it. You know, those are the things that we deal with as women. When I became a civilian, to get offered a position, you know, I have the credentials. I put a number on the table. And the number on the table was not, you know, they offered me the job, but the number on the table, they didn't want to pay me. But the one had absolutely no experience. You know, I've led over 450 people at one time. And for them to come back and to offer it when I turned it down, because I will not belittle myself and accept less, today give him that number. So those are the things that we deal with as women. So when I say, but yeah, we don't get to look at our children and take that day off. We don't get, so yes, this is passionate to me. Giving women an opportunity to have an equal playing field. Giving us the opportunity to make a to be able to, you know, that's why I say it's no offense to any man or anyone out there, but that's why that is passionate to me. And that's where the Women Teach Forex has come from. because I no longer ever want to hear a woman say, I got to stretch $1, because we don't get to make an excuse. No one gives us an excuse. We have to take control and take charge of our lives. And so for me, this movement, the Be Your Own movement, B.Y.O.B for life, is about economically empowering. And that is what that is all about. We have to be economically empowered. So if you're willing to invest in yourself and commit to yourself, we're here. And that's what he meant. Mr. Rogers said, well, you're not gonna outwork us. You can't. You just have to be committed to yourself. Period.
Well, hey, I mean, that is a tremendous effort and a tremendous desire you have to reach out to women. And, education is available, help is available. But I will say this, and Mr. Rogers, did you want to say something before we close out?
I just wanted to make sure Ms. Dyer gave out her contact information for those people, women, friends, enemies. Everybody needs this information to change your financial paradigm. And I wanted to make sure that for those of you who are listening, what she's already put together, the leadership she's already provided, you do not want to not allow her to impart this wisdom, this information for you and your family.
Well, we're going to ask you to go ahead and leave your contact information, and then we're going to go ahead and close out.
Okay.
Tasha?
It's Tasha M. Dyer, Tasha Monique Dyer. And you can find me on Facebook as Tasha Monique Dyer. But then also my contact number is 225-803-0839. That's 225-803-0839. And that's Tasha M. Dyer at yahoo.com.
Guys, and what I'll do, I'll come back and I'll put this information on the description. If that's okay, if you want your phone number on the description, I guess that would be okay because you just gave it out. So, hey, and again, guys, I do appreciate you. And here's what I would say, and take it for what it's worth. If you're drowning, and let's say Tasha, Gerald, or myself, if we can swim, and we're going to come out and get you to help you keep from drowning, know this: stop fighting us, because we're not going to go down with you. We're going to offer you assistance, do what we can to help. And I'm sure they would probably say the same. They're going to do what they can to help you, but you have to want the help. So guys, reach out to Tasha. Mr. Roger, I appreciate you for coming on the show, sir. Appreciate the information that you all are sharing. Guys, again, this is Tony C. Davis with the Tony C. Davis Show. If you have some valuable content, be it faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun, reach out to me. We'll share your valuable content with the world. I want to say again, thank you to all our viewers who came on live. Just share this information with somebody if you would. Just share it out. Somebody needs to hear this, and make sure you refer them to Tasha. Also, Mr. Dyer, we again thank you all. And we're signing off, and you all have a blessed evening. God bless you.